In this video, I'm going to show you how to take this extra large men's chambray shirt and turn it into a woman's tunic dress using this as my inspiration. So let's get started. Remove the pockets, open the side seams and the sleeves, and remove the sleeves from the body. I seam ripped this shirt instead of cutting it because I wanted to preserve the width of the body in the sleeve. Mark the left sleeve and the left cuff with a safety pin for correct reattachment later, then remove the cuffs from the sleeves. This particular shirt was sewn with a chain stitch, which can be easy to unpick. Sometimes, try cutting a stitch or two and pull on the thread. This may take a couple of tries, and if it still doesn't work, try cutting and pulling from the other end of the seam. Sometimes this technique doesn't work, but it's great when it does. First, we're going to make some pleats in the front to give the tunic some shape, then sew on the pockets. Measure the distance from the yoke of the shirt to just under your bust and mark the shirt. Mine was about 12 inches. Make a fold a little over 2 inches from the button placket and create a 1/2 inch pleat. Fold it away from the placket and pin into place. Create a second pleat 2 inches from the first and pin into place as well. Position the pocket over the pleats approximately 1 inch from the placket and pin into place. Make sure to flatten the pocket, which is a little tricky because of the pleats. Top stitch the pocket onto the shirt, easing as you go to compensate for the curvature caused by the pleats. Try to sew in the original seams of the pocket if you can. I also tried to match the thread color and did 2 rows of stitches like the original shirt, since these seams will be visible on the front. To create the armhole, try on the shirt and mark the width of your shoulder and pin the sides of the shirt together a few inches below your underarm for an oversized fit. My shoulder size was about 5 inches from the collar and the depth of the armhole was about 9 inches from the shoulder. To create the armhole shape, draw a rectangle, then draw a curve, but make sure the top inch is at a right angle to the shoulder, otherwise the top of the sleeve will be pointy. Use the cut section as a pattern to cut the other side. To cut the sides of the shirt, mark from the underarm to the hem. Since I want to use the original hem, I'm going to be very careful about lining up the 2 hems. Then cut and repeat on the other side. To cut the sleeves, first measure the size of the armhole with the measuring tape on its side to accurately measure the curve. Mine comes to 12 inches. Then measure the length of your arm from shoulder to cuff. I want to make a 3/4 inch sleeve, which is 16 inches on me, plus an inch seam allowance comes to 17 inches. Fold the sleeve in half and mark the sleeve length. Starting at the length mark, create an S-curve shape using the original shirt as a general guide. Create an S-curve with the measuring tape from the fold to the raw edge, making sure the distance is the same as the armhole, which in my case was 12 inches. Draw the curve on the sleeve, making sure the ends taper into flat lines to avoid pointy shoulders or underarms. After sewing the shirt, I discovered the sleeve was a bit tight, so I'd suggest adding an additional inch to the sleeve measurement. Use the cut section of the sleeve to transfer the measurements to the other sleeve. In a more tailored shirt, the front of the sleeve will be different from the back to allow for movement, but since this one is oversized, it's not that important. To attach the sleeves to the shirt, first make sure to pin the left sleeve to the left side of the shirt so that the button placket lines up correctly. With the right sides of the fabric facing each other, pin the sleeves into place at the underarm seams first, then around the entire armhole, easing the fabric as necessary. Sew the sleeves to the shirt. Trim the seam allowance, then finish with a zigzag stitch. Then repeat with the other sleeve. To sew the sides together, sew along the side seam starting at the hem, then go all the way to the end of the sleeve. I'm starting at the hem because I want to keep the original hem in order to keep as much length as possible. Finish the raw edge with a zigzag stitch and repeat on the other side. Refold the hem and resew the unpicked portion, making sure to backstitch over the existing seam on both sides. To reattach the cuffs, make sure you're using the correct cuff for the sleeve. Then tuck the ends of the sleeve between the two sides of the cuff. Adjust the size of the pleat to ensure the cuff and the sleeve are the same size. Carefully pin into place. Top stitch on the right side of the cuff, following the original sew lines while making sure to catch both the front and the back of the cuff at the same time. My pockets came with buttons, so for a finishing touch, I sewed them back on. And that's it. We're done. In this refashion, I wanted to keep the oversized look of the shirt, but make it more feminine by adding pleats and reducing the size of the shoulders and the length of the arms. If you're adventurous or petite, you can wear it as a dress, but I'll probably wear it as a tunic with a pair of jeans. It's a flattering cut for almost any body type, so I hope this inspires you to try your own refashioning project. Thanks for watching, and happy upcycling!